Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Host Eddie Frederick.
Welcome to Caribbean Perspective. So glad you can join us. The story that takes the lead in today's edition for Friday, 17th May 2024, and brought to you in association with our friends at Antillean Group. Jamaica's government not happy with opposition's response to constitution reform process. Details after this important message.
Believe in our strength, we'll stand by you. Protection from all, perils big and small. Reassurance we give, it's so glad to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Antillean Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
Welcome back. Jamaica government blasts opposition for failing to sign constitution reform draft. Anthony Lugg of TVJ News reports.
It seems as if Mr. Golding wants to make the decisions without regard to the process by which the decisions are made.
Legal and Constitutional Affairs Minister Marlene Malahoo Fort hitting back at opposition leader Mark Golding hours after a PNP press briefing on Tuesday.
I believe the leader of the opposition, Mr. Mark Golding, owes it to the people of Jamaica to come clean and say why he has taken the stance he has taken.
The parliamentary opposition wants Jamaica's transition from the British monarchy to coincide with the move away from the UK-based Privy Council as the country's final appellate court, despite the government indicating that the concerns surrounding the CCJ will be addressed in phase 2 of the constitutional reform process. The opposition has not yielded.
If we cannot cooperate and collaborate on the things on which we agree, how will we do so on the things on which we disagree? I think Mr. Golding's approach is his way or the highway. I believe that his utterances and his conduct make it clear that he wants to lead the process and he wants to do it his way.
The objection raised by the opposition leader has brought into question whether a bipartisan approach to relinquishing the king as the head of state will ever materialize. For Justice Minister Delroy Chuck,
the sooner that the opposition members, under the instructions from the leader of the opposition, sign and agree, then hopefully we can move forward.
So, with the opposition taking a tough stance, the big question is, what's next?
This is a process that requires true collaboration, not lip service. I have done what I can to ensure that no issue was too sensitive to be raised in the committee or to be reported on. I believe the members of the opposition who are part of the committee have engaged in goodwill and have made a good contribution. And I believe that the recommendations have been informed by their perspective.
Anthony Lugg, TVJ News.
No political ploy. Opposition justifies reason for not signing reform document. Jamila Maitland of TVJ News has more.
The opposition People's National Party is rubbishing claims that it's sabotaging Jamaica's constitutional reform process after its members refused to sign the recommendations put forward by the committee. On Tuesday, the opposition, during a press conference, told the country why.
We could not sign because we knew some of the positions in the document were contrary to long-standing PNP's policy. The matter of the CCJ is a 1-2 matter for us because this has been a long-standing issue.
According to opposition leader Mark Golding, the issue of the Caribbean Court of Justice being the final appellate court for Jamaicans was non-negotiable.
Our position is that time come to leave the British monarchy in full, once and for all. When Jamaica is moving out of the King's Yard, we cannot have 1 foot in and 1 foot out of the yard. That would leave us neither fish nor fowl in another man's yard. That can't work.
Just last week, the Privy Council received approval from the UK government for judges in different countries to preside over matters. Countries like Jamaica. President Robert Reid said having a judge with direct knowledge of the local issues would enhance the quality of the Privy Council decision-making. Former President of Jamaica's Court of Appeal, retired Justice Seymour Panton, in a Gleaner article, urged the government to reject it. Now, the opposition says the process to appoint a president who will replace the Governor General is a little worrying. That's because, based on the recommendation, the government of the day could use its majority in the parliament to elect that person, which lends itself to who will replace the Governor General is a little worrying. That's because, based on the recommendation, the government of the day could use its majority in the parliament to elect that person, which lends itself to political influence. The opposition also wants impeachment to be considered, but that was shut down by the Constitutional Reform Committee. Now, the opposition did release a document today stating their position, but that was a little bit difficult to follow because the Constitutional Reform document has not been made public, and that's why they want it to be released.
In my view, this report, which has gone to Cabinet, should have been widely distributed so that the country can see what it is recommending, because it is supposed to be the consultations with the people which has led to the drafting of this report.
But what if Cabinet approves the report without the opposition signatures? It would mean the report would be tabled in Parliament and go through the process to be passed. Mr. Golding said he would have to use his powers as the opposition.
If they want to push forward without the opposition on board, they can do so. We can't stop them from pushing forward. But we know that when it comes to Parliament, we have a responsibility, and the Constitution gives us certain powers. And we will be exercising those in due course.
Jamila Maitland, TVJ News.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick, in association with our friends at
Antillean Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
A top United Nations official has expressed full support for the Global Multidimensional Vulnerability Index recently unveiled by Prime Minister Gaston Brown of Antigua and Barbuda. ABS has spoken exclusively with Senior Advisor to Small Island Developing States in the United Nations Office for Project Services, Dr. Simona Marinescu. Her comments come amidst lingering concern over access to development financing for small island developing states such as Antigua and Barbuda. Ursula Charles Jr. reports.
Donor countries and agencies are facing their own sets of shocks and conflicts. The dire truth is that development assistance for developing countries facing catastrophic events is waning. Dr. Simona Marinescu, who's UNOP's Senior Advisor on SIDS, sets the scene.
Over the last 4 years, assistance to SIDS declined by 22%. Of course, part of it is because SIDS continue to do better in terms of their economic performance, but that doesn't mean that they would not need financing, particularly when they have such large-size disasters.
Prime Minister Gaston Brown has long touted the Multidimensional Vulnerability Index as an evidence-based and robust quantitative benchmark designed to assess structural vulnerability. Dr. Marinescu agrees. She's confident the SIDS4 conference will provide the perfect avenue for discussions to precede widespread acceptance of the MVI as an indicator of those countries mostly in need of developmental and recovery financing.
We will speak in Antigua and Barbuda about the index, and then the Secretary General of the United Nations will host a roundtable with international financial institutions, the second day of the conference, actually. And we believe that at this General Assembly in September, the index will see an endorsement by all member states so that we start testing it.
Dr. Marinescu is, however, encouraging SIDS, including Antigua Barbuda, to look at alternative sources of wealth to boost their economies.
We speak at the United Nations about a beyond GDP agenda, which means we need to be able to look into what other sources of wealth exist. So the management of natural resources, both on land and off land, would be at the heart of the next agenda.
She also recommends digitizing certain sections of the economy. For ABS News, I'm Ursula.
A good rating from the Police Service Commission ensured that Commissioner of Police Erla Harewood Christopher of Trinidad and Tobago received a 1-year extension. The Minister of National Security there, Fitzgerald Hines, explained this on Tuesday at the maximum security prison Golden Grove Road, Aruka. Details in this TTT News item.
Knew that the Police Service Commission, which appointed her, and we extended, and now want to consider further extension, they, having assessed her performance in the last year, found that it was good. And with that in mind, we were more emboldened to act in accordance with the law and the public interest expectations.
Minister Hines confirmed that other stakeholders gave their approval and were also pleased with the decision to extend Mrs. Harewood Christopher's service for another year.
When we looked at their assessment of good, we realized that they would have reached out to several stakeholders, not the least the remainder of the executive, the leadership, or a sample thereof, I don't know because, of the police service, from which favorable ratings came. And I noticed the Police Association belatedly saying that they give full support to the Commissioner.
On Monday, a media release by the Office of the Prime Minister confirmed her 1-year extension as Commissioner of Police with effect from May 15, 2024.
In the meantime, though, Opposition Leader Kamala Persad-Bissessar says her heart is heavy following news of the extension of term of Police Commissioner Erla Harewood Christopher. Renessa Cutting of TV6 News has more.
205, the murder toll as at Tuesday evening, May 14th. And Opposition Leader Kamala Persad-Bissessar is not optimistic that the crime situation will improve, following news of the 1-year extension of the tenure of the police commissioner.
That news doesn't give me any assurance that within the next year things will get any better with the crime in Trinidad. You know what that news was? The government has now extended the contract of the present Commissioner of Police. Now, I have no pain or no trouble with that Commissioner of Police. In fact, we voted for her when the matter came to Parliament last time. We voted, said, give her a chance, or we've given her a chance. But I with a heavy heart, I report this tonight because I'm even more worried what will be happening post of this year.
The opposition leader was addressing the UNT's 5th Anti-Crime Talk Symposium held in the PNM stronghold of Mova, where a few of the attendees gave personal stories of losing relatives to crime.
My brother was murdered in the 28th of January at the Bricks Hotel, where a president houses, a police station for Belmont, and nothing was done up till now.
It reached on my doorstep. I have 5 boys. I have 3 girls, and it reached on my doorstep the 2nd of last month. My son was gunned down on Charlotte Street. It was so sad.
Social activist Lennox Smith called for greater investment in the nation's human capital as he handed over a flash drive to the opposition leader containing documents speaking to recommendations.
We have what is called the Ad Hoc Committee for the Eradication of Crime in Laventille. We have, of course, the Mova Laventille Improvement Organization. We have the Laventille for Laventillians, and, of course, quite a number of other entities that are associated with and concerned with the prophylactic approach to preventing our young people from engaging in crime and criminality.
Persad-Bissessar is vowing to make the country safe again once the UNC is returned to office.
The crime rate now is the worst it has ever been in decades upon decades. The worst ever, that no one is safe anywhere in any part of TNT, not in a single place. So when they want to tell me about hotspots, yes, there are hotspots and there are hotter spots. But all of our land is now a hotspot. Trinidad and Tobago. You agree with me? Yes.
Renessa Cutting, TV6 News.
I am Eddie Frederick, wishing you a restful weekend. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel for daily regional news and more, in association with our friends at Antillian Group.
Believe in our strength, we'll stand by you. Protection from all perils, big and small. Reassurance we give, it's so glad to see. Peace of mind, that's a service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Antillian Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.